A golden retriever sits proudly beside 6 tiny kittens. What could explain this unusual scene? When the Thompson family discovered Max bringing kittens home one by one, they never imagined the shocking truth behind his actions. The neighborhood erupted in accusations, threats were made, and Max's fate hung in the balance. But what was really happening? The answer would leave everyone speechless and transform this golden retriever into an unexpected hero.
If you enjoy these types of stories, please like and subscribe to the channel to help me bring you more stories like this. Turn on notifications and comment below what you thought. Max was a golden retriever with a brilliant golden coat, rescued by the Thompson family 3 years ago. Robert and Jennifer Thompson, along with their 9-year-old daughter Emma, found Max shivering in the rain on an abandoned road. The dog was thin, frightened, and clearly neglected. Emma begged her parents to take him home, and they couldn't resist the animal's pleading eyes. In the first few weeks, Max proved to be an extremely affectionate and protective dog. He followed Emma everywhere, slept beside her bed, and became restless whenever she left the house. Robert noticed that Max had an unusual protective instinct, far beyond what is normal for the breed. When Emma fell ill with a high fever, Max refused to leave her room, remaining lying beside her bed for 3 days straight. Over time, Max became an essential part of the Thompson family. He quickly learned tricks, helped fetch the newspaper in the morning, and even alerted Jennifer when she forgot something in the oven. The neighbors adored Max, and he became a beloved figure in the community. Neighborhood children often stopped by to play with him, and Max always demonstrated boundless patience and kindness.
Everything changed when Jennifer found out she was pregnant. The family was ecstatic, especially Emma, who had always dreamed of having a little brother or sister. Max also seemed to sense something different in the air. He started getting even closer to Jennifer, gently resting his head on her belly and staying by her side constantly. Robert joked that Max would be the best babysitter a child could have. However, the family's joy was brutally interrupted when Jennifer suffered a miscarriage in her 5th month of pregnancy. The loss completely devastated the Thompsons. Jennifer spent days crying, Robert tried to be strong for the family, and Emma didn't fully understand what had happened. But the one who visibly suffered the most was Max. The golden retriever seemed to perfectly understand the tragedy that had befallen his family. Max stopped eating properly, lost interest in playing, and spent hours lying in a dark corner of the basement. His eyes, once bright and full of life, now seemed empty and sad. Jennifer tried to comfort him, but Max would only rest his head against her and let out deep sighs. The veterinarian consulted explained that dogs can suffer from depression when they perceive the suffering of their owners, but the intensity of Max's reaction was extraordinary. The Thompsons began to fear for the health of their beloved dog, not knowing how to help him overcome that pain.
3 weeks had passed since the tragedy, and Max remained in his depressive state. The Thompson family was desperate, trying everything to lift the dog out of his melancholy. Emma spent hours in the basement, talking to Max, telling him stories, and offering him his favorite toys. But nothing seemed to work. The golden retriever would just look at her with those sad eyes and then go back to lying down in his isolated corner. One Saturday morning, something strange happened. Emma was playing in the yard when she heard Max barking differently in the basement. It wasn't a bark of warning or fear, but a low, soft sound, almost as if he were talking to someone. Curious, the girl went downstairs and was paralyzed by what she saw. Max was lying on his favorite blanket, and next to him was a tiny kitten with bluish-gray fur. Emma ran to call her parents, screaming in surprise and confusion. Robert and Jennifer rushed downstairs and were equally shocked. The kitten was clearly newborn, its eyes still closed, and it was whimpering softly as Max gently licked it. Where had that kitten come from? How had it gotten into the house? Jennifer carefully picked up the kitten, examining it. It was a Russian blue kitten, a breed known for its distinctive silvery coat. Robert checked all the doors and windows, but everything was locked. The mystery was only beginning.
The Thompsons decided to keep the kitten temporarily while they searched for its owner. Jennifer prepared a cozy box with soft blankets and a feeding bottle. Surprisingly, Max didn't leave the kitten's side for a second. The dog attentively watched Jennifer's every move, and when she put the kitten back in the box, Max immediately lay down beside it, warming it with his large, furry body. The following morning, the family awoke to another shock. Max had brought home a second kitten, identical to the first. This time, Robert was determined to find out how this was happening. He installed a small camera on the back door and decided to stay awake watching. Around 3 in the morning, Robert saw Max silently leaving through the back door, which had been left ajar. The dog disappeared into the darkness of the night. 40 minutes later, Max returned with extreme care, delicately carrying another bluish-gray kitten in his mouth. Robert was impressed by the dog's gentleness. Max held the kitten with such precision that he didn't leave a single mark on its delicate skin. The golden retriever took the third kitten straight to the basement, placing it next to the other two. Robert followed silently, watching Max lie protectively around the 3 kittens as if they were his own babies. Something extraordinary was happening. But where was Max getting these kittens from?
Over the next 2 days, Max brought 3 more kittens, bringing the total to 6 Russian blue kittens in the Thompsons' basement. The family was completely at a loss as to what to do. Jennifer fed the kittens regularly with a special formula, while Max took on the role of vigilant protector. The dog barely slept, constantly watching over the kittens, licking them, and keeping them warm. It was as if Max had finally found a purpose that pulled him out of his depression. Emma loved helping care for the kittens, naming each one of them. She called them Shadow, Misty, Storm, Cloud, Silver, and Ash. The girls spent hours watching Max interact with the kittens, marveling at the dog's patience and affection. But while the Thompson family was charmed by the situation, the neighborhood began to notice something strange. Mrs. Martinez, an elderly lady who lived 3 houses down, had mentioned at the local supermarket that her cat had recently had kittens. The news spread quickly through the neighborhood. When Mrs. Martinez went to check on her cat in the shed at the back of her property, she discovered that all the kittens had disappeared. The elderly woman panicked, crying and screaming that someone had stolen her cat's babies. Neighbors began to speculate, and it wasn't long before someone made the connection. Mr. Patterson, who lived next door to the Thompsons, had seen Max wandering around late at night several times. Suspicion immediately fell on the Thompson family's golden retriever.
The situation escalated rapidly when Mrs. Martinez, accompanied by several furious neighbors, banged violently on the Thompsons' door. Robert opened it and was immediately confronted by a group of people demanding answers. The elderly woman accused Max of stealing her kittens, demanding their immediate return. Jennifer tried to explain that they didn't know where the kittens were coming from, but no one was willing to listen to reasonable explanations. Mr. Patterson showed photos he had taken of Max at night, wandering the streets. Another neighbor, Mr. Chen, claimed to have seen Max near Mrs. Martinez's property on several occasions. The accusations became increasingly serious. Some neighbors began shouting that Max was a dangerous dog and should be removed from the community. Mrs. Martinez, in tears, threatened to sue the Thompson family for neglect and theft. Emma watched the scene in terror, clinging to her mother's legs. Robert tried to calm things down, asking everyone to speak civilly. He invited Mrs. Martinez inside to see the kittens, assuring her they would return the kittens immediately if they were truly hers. In the basement, the elderly woman identified the 6 kittens as belonging to her cat Luna. She demanded to take them immediately, but Jennifer urged caution, explaining that the kittens were very small and needed special care. The tension escalated when Mrs. Martinez refused to wait, accusing the Thompsons of wanting to keep her cats. The situation was spiraling completely out of control.
The argument became so heated that someone ended up calling the police. 2 patrol cars arrived at the Thompsons' house, and Officers Smith and Rodriguez came out to mediate the situation. Mrs. Martinez was hysterical, accusing Max of being a thieving and dangerous dog, demanding that something be done immediately. She insisted that the animal should be taken to animal control and possibly euthanized for its behavior. Emma began to cry desperately upon hearing those terrible words. Officer Smith asked for calm and began asking detailed questions of everyone involved. Robert explained the entire situation, showing camera footage that proved Max was simply bringing the kittens home without any sign of aggression. Jennifer demonstrated how the dog cared for the kittens with extreme gentleness, keeping them warm and protected. Officer Rodriguez observed Max carefully, noting the golden retriever's protective and gentle behavior around the kittens. Something about the story didn't make sense to Officer Smith. He asked Mrs. Martinez exactly where her cat had given birth to the kittens. The woman hesitated, looking confused, and then vaguely mentioned that Luna had disappeared for a few days and returned without the kittens. The officer frowned and asked if she could show him where the kittens had been before they disappeared. Mrs. Martinez became visibly uncomfortable, admitting that she wasn't sure, that perhaps it was in the back shed, but she hadn't checked. The officer decided they needed to investigate further before making any decisions about Max.
Officer Smith and Rodriguez, accompanied by Robert and Mrs. Martinez, went to the woman's property to investigate. The shed in the back was in terrible condition, with the door half broken and holes in the walls. When they entered, they found Luna, the Russian blue cat, lying weak and visibly ill in a dark and dirty corner. The smell of mold and neglect was unbearable. There were clear signs that kittens had been born there, but the conditions were utterly inadequate for newborns to survive. Officer Rodriguez immediately called an emergency veterinarian on the radio. Luna was severely dehydrated and malnourished, clearly unable to care for her kittens. The temperature in the shed was freezing at night, and there was no adequate food or water for the mother cat. The veterinarian, who arrived quickly, explained that in Luna's condition, the kittens would have died within days if they had remained there. The reality began to dawn on everyone present. Mrs. Martinez began to cry, but this time not from anger, but from shame and confusion. She admitted to the officers that her memory had been failing her lately, that she frequently forgot important things. She didn't remember leaving Luna in the shed, nor when she had last fed the cat. Officer Smith spoke gently with her, suggesting that she might need medical help and family support. The truth was finally being revealed. Max hadn't stolen the kittens. He had saved them from certain death, rescuing them one by one from a desperate situation.
News of Max's heroism spread through the neighborhood like wildfire. The same neighbors who had accused the golden retriever of being dangerous were now deeply ashamed of their hasty judgments. Officer Smith made a point of explaining to everyone that Max had demonstrated an extraordinary protective instinct, identifying puppies in mortal danger and taking the initiative to save them, even without any training. Robert and Jennifer were moved to realize that their dog, even amidst his own grief over the loss his family had suffered, had found the strength to save other innocent lives. Mrs. Martinez received help from social services and her family, who were unaware of her memory deterioration. Luna was treated by a veterinarian and made a full recovery. When the time came to reunite the mother cat with her kittens, something heartwarming happened. Max carefully watched the entire process, observing Luna sniff and lick each of her babies. The golden retriever showed no jealousy or possessiveness, only an expression of peace and satisfaction, as if he knew he had fulfilled his mission. The Thompsons decided to maintain close contact with Mrs. Martinez, helping her care for Luna and the kittens. Max's story reached social media when Emma, with her parents' permission, shared photos of the dog with the kittens he had rescued. The post quickly went viral, accumulating millions of views and shares. People from all over the country sent messages of affection and admiration for the heroic golden retriever. The local animal shelter reported an impressive increase in adoptions, with dozens of families looking to give homes to abandoned dogs and cats, inspired by Max's story. The entire community was transformed, becoming more united and compassionate. Max not only saved 6 kittens, he also saved an elderly woman in need and touched the hearts of an entire neighborhood, proving that compassion knows no bounds between species. If you enjoyed the story, please like it, subscribe to the channel to help me bring you more stories, and turn on notifications. Comment below with your thoughts and suggestions. Max taught us that sometimes being in the right place at the right time can make all the difference. His protective instincts saved lives and changed an entire community. Keep watching other videos to discover more incredible stories like this one. Thanks for watching.